Yo, welcome to ChattyCoffeeCrew. Here's your host, Shyzabox. Oh yeah, whoa, oh girl, whoa, calm down, whoa, get out of here. And the horse you rode in on. That's what we thought. Excellent. Apprentice, we gotta get set up. Continue doing your job. We'll tell you when we're ready for you to leave. Dun, 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 dun. Well, believe you me, boy, are we still not good at this. And if you're saying that's true, it's because it is. But benefit of being the best of the worst is that we're the worst. So, best of the worst, and you kind of get what you get. But it looks like we weren't ready at all, but we're pretty much ready now. So, Apprentice, what are you doing there still? Get out of here. Jeez, blocking the main show. Us. But, if we're being honest, we're not the main show, even though we are. The main show it's Chatty Coffee Crew. And believe you me, sometimes we have topics. Like all the time. And today's topic is the state of MTG. You might be saying, what? Marjorie Taylor Greene? Nope, wrong MTG. Believe you me, we thought a couple ways of making the thumbnail and stuff like that, but the only way that it would really come to fruition is if we put in the effort that was due and deserved, which is probably what was put in. I don't know. It doesn't matter. However you got here, whether you misclicked or your algorithms are that messed up, today we're talking about Magic the Gathering. You might be saying, well, let's not. And believe you me, throw your comment in and we'll change the show on a dime. But until you come up with a better topic to talk about, we're talking about the state of MTG. But like we said, present your ideas, and they're probably better than ours. So we'll do them. But because we already took the time to make that fancy thumbnail that probably made you try and avoid it, but you accidentally didn't and clicked on it, that's fine. You got here, and, you know, maybe it was, by chance, you were like, I'll roll the dice, nothing else is on right now. We understand that as well. But, one way or another, you might have a interest in Magic of the Gathering. And while it's not everyone's favorite game, dare we say, when we were in high school, you didn't want people to know you liked Magic the Gathering. Probably not a good thing. Well, you wanted people who played it to know, so that you could play with them, but there were some people you didn't want to know that you played Magic the Gathering, and they were called everybody else. Because there were some negative affiliations that were, you know, associated with it, you know, and things of that nature. Let's say you and your friends were going around playing Magic, and the entire student body called you the nerd herd, right? It's because you were. You were going around, you spent lunch in the libraries playing Magic. That's okay. You weren't allowed in the cafeteria because you would distract us, if we're being honest, and we weren't in the cafeteria ourselves much anyway. So that's when we would leave. But that's beside the point. Magic the Gathering, the nerd herd, little did we know, boy were they not nerds. They were actually probably pretty awesome. And we guarantee you their Magic the Gathering card collections are unsurpassed by anyone who started playing after them. Smart individuals, those not nerd herd, right? You know, when we saw our buddies whipping pudding cups at them, we were like, surely that doesn't seem like a nice thing to do. But we didn't jump in and stop them. Hell, it might have even been partially someone's idea who was there, okay? We can sit here all day and talk about why we come up with these crazy ideas and whatnot, but that's not going to change the matter of fact that we're trying to get to talking about Magic the Gathering, and dwelling on the past isn't going to help anything but maybe avoid repeating it. So, don't throw pudding cups at people, it's not nice. You might be saying, what does that have to do with Magic? And believe you me, some people took those pudding cups for you, so you wouldn't have to now. And that's great, because if you play Magic the Gathering, the last thing you want is people to hurl pudding cups at you, because Excellent. No one should throw pudding cups at anyone. It's very not nice. And boy, do we regret not saying, hey, you rapscallions, stop throwing pudding cups at people. It's not nice. But, like we said, can't dwell on the past. Can only try and avoid repeating it. Sounds right. Anyhow, what isn't right now for us, and it's getting there maybe, is a state of Magic the Gathering. You might be saying like, nah, it's perfect. No, far from perfect. You're wrong. Did you see how many recent bannings they just had in Standard? You might be saying, well, what other cards? What were they? How many? No, there were a lot. We don't know their names because they were stupid cards that we refused to play. But we do know that we played against them and would lose to them on some bullshit, iterations of them being presented to us from an opponent. Sometimes due to the opponent just making a very good deck with a very not good card to play against, right? And that's fine. We don't fault our opponents for running that dude that, is the 9/9 flyer that you cheat in from the graveyard with the ward, sacrifice 3 permanents. We just refuse to play that dude, because it's not a fun card. Magic the Gathering, the state of it, has been off for us for some time. They have been printing crap, in our opinion, and just destroying and obliterating the color pie, which is virtually non-existent now, because every color has to do everything. Everything has to have indestructibility protection from everything, or hexproof protection from everything at a moment's notice for ones of mana in every single color and iteration that could possibly exist. And believe you me, that can make the game not fun. At least for this individual, and there's a lot of not fun we were having with the game. Our problem is that we love Magic the Gathering. If there's one game that has so much to it that can be shaped in such a variety of ways by the different iterations of cards in existence and mechanics that are created in existence, used, revisited, okay? The types of game modes and formats that you can play, from the Commander and Brawl on Arena to the Standard, Modern, Legacy, Pauper, Two-Headed Giant, play by yourself, organizing cards, I don't know, whatever you want to do. Magic the Gathering offers that. But the game, for quite some time, has had these shortcomings where they've broken the color pie. And we could sit here all day and find graphics and pull them up for you and show you the specific cards. We're not going to, because that sounds like work, and this is free. So, you get what you pay for. So, you need to know those cards and things like that on your own accord. But what you don't need to know is the fact that, as far as we're concerned, and believe you me, being the best professional, worst internet celebrity there is, our opinion matters to everyone it matters to, which should be everyone, but mainly ourselves. And with that being the case, we know that the state of Magic the Gathering has been off for quite some time. Lo and behold, about, 8, 9, 10, 11 years ago now, Magic started printing cards on a very regular basis that were problematic, that led to detrimental aspects of gameplay, right? That led to almost virtually instant bannings within a week or two of a set's brand new release. And believe you me, Wizards and Magic the Gathering, Hasbro, whoever owns it now, that's probably not something they like to do. A brand new set comes out, they need to move those packs. They need to sell them to the collectors, the distributors, the resellers, the players. They don't want to be sitting on that. So you release a set, unless there's a very popular card that gets banned, okay? All of that just tanks the price of a set that's out. And with how many sets they drop and put out, they need to maintain that consistent level of at least moving their product. That's all they got to do. It doesn't matter where the value of the cards go after that, as long as it doesn't completely plummet. Lo and behold, because the developers and game designers, and dare we say we don't want to call them out and say that they're not doing a good job, but we'll be damned if we think they're not doing a good job. We expect everyone to call us out on not doing a good job. Only difference is, from the get-go, we know we're not. So, little difference when you tell us, hey, you're not doing a good job. We know. We're not getting paid to. Difference is, the developers at Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, Magic the Gathering, they are getting paid. In theory, unless they're doing volunteer work, in which case, fire those fucking volunteers, because the cards they're putting out suck ass. You broke the color pie long ago. It's almost like you need a virtually hard reset again and come up with an entirely new format or iteration version of Standard, and the way that it works revolves around and moves. You need to remove so much shit from the game that you have put in there over these last 15 years, all right, that has caused a complete decay and breakdown to the game itself. And, case in point, look how many cards they just banned in Standard just a couple weeks ago, a week or so ago. It doesn't matter. Why didn't you report on it then? You know, because who cares? We knew those cards were problematic. We refused to play those cards. You know what's funny? We play such janky crap anyway that when those cards were banned, all right, and you know we're talking Arena here now, as far as predominantly playing on, when those cards from Standard were banned, our decks are so wonky anyway, and we refuse to play those cards so much anyway. You know how many decks of ours in Standard were affected by the bannings? 1. You know how many cards we had to remove, or I'm sorry, replace from those decks? 2 copies. And all of the Standard decks we have, I don't know, 10. Because we don't like keeping all those decks around that they give us, because they all suck. Even if they're good, and we lose to them with any deck we build, fuck those decks. We don't want to play them. Keep your decks to yourself, Arena. Just give us the wild cards, okay? We'll just sit on those. Let us get our own cards. We don't care about what deck you paid your developers to make, because, let's be honest, we've seen the cards your development team is making. And they suck. And they're broken. And, case in point, you just had to ban like 6 or 7 of those motherfuckers. So, you know, the game itself has been in a state and a condition ever since, as far as we're concerned, the additional free cost spells started rolling out. The grief, the fury, all that stuff that made historic, which we're borderline whatever. We used to be a heavy modern player after our first bout with Standard, after the rotation of the original Innistrad and stuff like that. We started playing a little more modern as our cards became a little more modern-esque. Never legacy. We don't have that library to us. That's the Nerd Herd. They got all those good cards, right? And any copies that we happen to have, we traded or sold to them because they had all the modern staples that we needed, because they had been playing for years and had a bajillion copies of them that they didn't need. Very nice of them. Got our playset of lightning bolts. Oh, that's a dime a dozen now. Yeah, well, it wasn't back then. Even though it was. It was a staple. You know, what's that 3-drop green-white dude that comes back with the Undying or whatever, you know, in the life game? We can't even remember. We haven't looked through that deck in a while. Very popular card. You'd be like, you should know it. And believe you me, we do. If we remembered it. But we don't, and that's beside the point. The point is that they've been making so much crap and iterations of stuff that we know to be crap and we refuse to play. There's cards that we just refuse to play because they are not fun. We read it and we say, even if this wins us games, we will lose. Whether that happens and we're playing against that card, we lose against it, you know what? Up that card, right? F that card. We refuse to play it. So when all those bannings happened and we have, we'll say 10 to 15 standard decks on Arena, one of them was affected and we had to replace 2 copies of one card that we had. And it was that one-drop black one that the opponent discards and loses 2 life. And then you can pay 3, sack it, and you scry 2. Okay? That one, in theory, that one we don't even feel needed to be banned. But sure, if people had problems with it and they felt it was that broken for a 1, you lose 2 life and discard, and your opponent can scry if they invest 3 later, okay? Not really a horrible thing for us, but it was a 1-drop, but you don't peek at the hand. It was a trade-off. If they're running Siege Rhino, something like that, it's not really a problem. Well, they'll just drop Rhino, right? And you lose. Okay? Or Blayloth, right? There's ways to get around it, but sure, people had a problem with that card. It was whatever, gone. Let's check this ones of comment that came in before we get too far ahead of ourselves. Are you talking about Magic the Gathering? Well, yes, we sure are, Josh. But you know what? If you don't want to, we'll change the topic of the show. You know what? Sometimes in ChattyCoffeeCrew, the conversation goes where it goes. We don't have to talk about Magic the Gathering. You don't like Magic, Josh? You know what? Now we don't either. See how fast we sell out? But unfortunately, unless you present us with another topic, we got to talk about something. Josh, we can't just have dead airspace. Because if we did, when our mom goes back and watches it later when she gets off her second job, she's going to be like, please, honey, I got to go to sleep. And be like, Mama, you got to check this out. Josh changed the topic on this episode, and we need to know if that's the format we need to roll with going forward. Because we don't know what the hell we're doing, Josh, if we're being honest. But that's the thing about being the best worst celebrity there is. We don't have to know what we're doing, Josh. Because we're already a celebrity. And that's because we're on the internet. You might be saying, like, no, you're a shitty one. And we know that, Josh. We call dibs on the ground floor level. Everything else that you watch is going to be better than this, inherently. That's how it's designed. Everyone wants to be an internet celebrity, Josh. Not everyone can. That's the thing that you realize when you become a celebrity like we have, is that there's good ones and there's bad ones, Josh. And we know our place. We call dibs on the ground floor level. It makes inherently everything else you watch through the rest of your day, life, even. You just touch base with this once. You're like, okay, I see what life decisions not to make. Let me clear my cash and get on with my life. Maybe start going to church or something, okay? Whatever you got to do to get the wash of us out of your mouth and the taste out of your eyes, okay? But, you set it up and you go forward and take care of it how you do. But yes, us here, we know our place, Josh. And that's the bottom of the pile. But we're still a celebrity. That's the thing. Whatever accolades come with that, dibs on being the crappiest one. We're not going to be the rich, good celebrity. We're going to be that mediocre, hey, he's getting by somehow, which entails, getting that money from somewhere, Josh. We're not saying we want it from you, but we're going to try and get it from YouTube, right? So the plan is we just need people to put the streams on, mute it, and go to work, okay? Helps us out, we get the view, and they don't have to suffer through it, Josh. But that's not the only way they can help out. They can also hit any of our streams or videos, mute it, and go to sleep. Have it playing in another room, Josh. That's the thing. Help us help you, okay? Mainly it's helping us, but, Josh, we like to think some way it helps you too. It might not, but let's pretend it does. So let's do everything we can for us to be successful. At the bottom of the pile. Not asking a lot, Josh. It's not like we're saying we want to be your Angry Joe or your Asmund of the Gold. We just want them to step on our heads when they're going up to get their awards. We get to go to the ceremony, Josh. We don't win, but we get a ticket. And it's in the back of the room, and we have to agree to clean the bathrooms after the event and help break down the chairs and the decorations and sweep the floors and walk old ladies to their car after the event. But it's worth it, Josh, because we get to be a celebrity. And believe you me, we call dibs on the ground floor level. So anyhow, moving on, let's see this other ones of comment that came in before we get ahead of ourselves and can't make it back full circle to talk about Magic the Gathering. Unless you got a comment in the content here, that changes what we're talking about altogether. I've never played, but the new Final Fantasy card makes me want to. Holy moly ravioli, Josh. You know what we'll tell you. We haven't loved a tie-in as much as the Final Fantasy tie-in in years. And Josh, There's problems with Magic the Gathering. They've printed cards that are bad. The learning curve is insane. But we'll tell you this, Josh. The game is extremely fun. It is very learnable, and it's addicting, as I'll get up. Now, we'll tell you this, Josh. You can play it for free. Download Magic of the Gathering Arena, okay? It's free. You get some free packs. Look up the codes that you can type in, and there's other free packs that are available, and you can build your collection organically, okay? You don't need to give them money to necessarily play the game and win. You can give them money in the form of buying their gem currency and stuff like that, Josh. You can invest in it if you become a super fan of it, but you can get in, play for free. They give you decks. They suck, but they'll be good for you, Josh, if you've never played. Believe you me, they'll probably beat us, okay? And that's okay, but F those decks. We don't want to play them. Magic makes those ones. We like to make our own stuff. You shouldn't. Well, okay, we get that, but we do. And so, with Magic, with Arena, you can get in for free, play for free, and if you knock out those little daily challenges and stuff, you can accumulate coins, free gems, free iterations of tokens that you can get to go into different formats and stuff like that. But we'll tell you this, Josh, if you do download it, and you start playing for free, and you want to play something that's the equivalent of chess, strategically, but with as many open-ended possibilities as the dictionary has words, okay, with what you can do to affect gameplay. One single card affects gameplay, Josh. That's the thing about the game. They're constantly putting new cards in it. That's why they screw it up a lot of times. They make a bunch of crappy cards that break the damn game, right? Every color, there's 5 colors, Josh. People used to want 6, be purple, right? There used to be the color purple MTG, dude from Canada. He changed his name. Now he's like the Magic historian. Makes great content. We haven't seen it in a while. Maybe he doesn't make it anymore. Who cares? Doesn't matter. Point is that he used to be the color purple, but now he's not. He's a historian wizard guy. He makes good content. We ever tell you that, Josh? Point is that Magic's been around so long. There's so many things to it. It is a very heavy learning curve game, but if you get into the game, Josh, for free with Arena, okay, and it has shortcomings, Josh, we believe, we don't know. We can't verify it or back it up. This is conjecture on our part. Hold on. Management's calling. Yeah. Yeah, no. Okay, legal disclaimer was okay. Excellent, yeah. Yeah, no, that algorithm seems totally fucked. But there's, totally, we've never seen the coding, so there's no way of knowing that. Magic the Gathering Arena manipulates their card pulls and your matchups based on what cards you're playing and things of that nature, and inherently control the mana that you do or don't get on a very regular basis with the game that results in statistical improbabilities that we haven't seen in playing Magic of the Gathering, in-person Magic, shuffling actual cards, and playing in a decade plus of time. But yeah, I mean, we just wanted to make a disclaimer. We haven't seen the algorithm, and it's probably not true. Excellent. Yeah, sorry, management was checking in to make sure, we haven't seen the algorithm of it, so we don't know. But sometimes we're led to believe that maybe some of the stuff that happens in the digital Magic the Gathering arena is manipulated, Josh. So disclaimer, we don't know if it is. We haven't seen the code. Legal disclaimer. Not making any assumptions here that we don't claim to be potentially not real. Wizards of the Coast Magic the Gathering, we love Magic the Gathering. We really do. But something seems a little wonky with card pulls, card draws, and matchups. Just saying, when we switch to a certain deck, all of a sudden, decks exist that haven't existed the entire time we were playing a different deck. Then, holy shit, you switch back and, well, poof, those decks are gone. Well, I'll be damned if we keep running into board wipe decks whenever we have a creature-heavy deck, and running into hexproof decks whenever we have targeted removal. I mean, it's the damnedest thing. Crazy. And then, those hands that we get when we're sitting on 2 lands for 8 fucking turns, man. And we have a bunch of turn 3s that annihilate and obliterate the opponent. Turn too late, right? You should have got it on turn 10, not turn 11. That's our bad. We should make decks with the appropriate amount of lands in them. 20 fucking 4 like they have, usually. Anyhow, that's beside the point, Josh. Magic the Gathering Arena is a iteration you can get into for free, and it will teach you the basics. There's challenges and stuff like that you can go through with the colors, and it will teach you the basics of the game. It's very fun, Josh, if you get into it. Not for everyone, but if you like it and get into it, it's fantastic. But we see we've missed ones of chat. Let's catch up. Don't get ahead of yourself, Josh. It's Chatty Coffee Talk. You're making us do a little too much chattiness and not enough drinking our coffee. If it gets really cold and sucks, that's your fault, Josh. You know, we're not going to hold a grudge against you. Membership here is free, and anyone's welcome to participate, but we're not used to ones of comments coming in, Josh. Usually we're able to sip our coffee in peace and kind of enjoy the morning, but let's be honest, now we have our voice in our ears, and it's a little annoying. But that's okay, not your fault, Josh. It's our own fault, really. You know, when we decided to talk about Magic the Gathering Arena, we knew we'd be talking about it. So, we did it to ourselves, Josh. But in this case, it's your fault. Somehow. Don't worry about it. No one blame Josh. It's not his fault. Josh, it's your fault, but no one's going to blame you because it's not your fault. So, don't worry about it. Anyhow, now that we're done entertaining your ones of comment there, let's check the ones of comment that we missed. I love your content. Magic is great. Only card game I played was Yu-Gi-Oh! Well, and an emoji. Well, shit. That's 4 comments. We read them all. They weren't in order. Doesn't have to be, really, when you think about it. Because, you know what's not in order? The state of Magic the Gathering, right? You might be saying, sure, you played Yu-Gi-Oh! But, Josh, we've seen people play Yu-Gi-Oh! That was you, right, Josh? Yep, Yu-Gi-Oh! Sure was. We knew you were a Yu-Gi-Oh! Player, Josh. When you told us that you didn't play Magic, we were like, psh, Pokemon player. Then you're like, I play Yu-Gi-Oh! You're like, we were right on. We were right the whole time. We knew you played Yu-Gi-Oh! I'll tell you what, Josh. You look at those Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. Those words are small, Josh. We can't play that game. You know how tiny that writing is? It's really small. When we're playing our Game Pass and everything's an Xbox, Josh. You got a cell phone, right? It's an Xbox. When we're playing our Xbox games, usually we're putting that font to big size, Josh. There's a reason we miss some of the comments around here. It's because we don't read them. There's another reason. It's because it's hard to see, especially when you're wearing sunglasses inside. But, you know, Josh, when you're a celebrity, as long as we've been, you got to realize that you always got to kind of do celebrity stuff. And wearing sunglasses inside is the epitome of celebrityness. You might be saying, you're not a good one. And, Josh, we've made this point. We've already told you we're the worst celebrity there is. There's a difference, Josh. You see, we get to do stuff, and, you know, sure, it's not good, but you know what you're getting, Josh. Not good content. So you just hold out until someone else makes something, then you jump ship and go watch that. That's what we do, too. If anything else better's on, please send the link here so we can end this and go watch that as well. We'll talk to you in the chat box. We'll have way more fun. But believe you me, since we're here talking about Magic anyway, let's check this other ones of comment. Pokemon. Excellent. Thank you for your participation. So, you have a question about Pokemon. Well, Pokemon are little critter characters that you catch in balls. You might be saying, what kind of balls? Well, they're called Pokeballs. They're red and white. You might have seen the show, the cartoon, the video games, the animals, the merchandise, the t-shirts, the costumes around Halloween, people decorating their cars with it, putting decals on it. Maybe you've seen wall art, maybe pictures, things like that. There's also a little thing called the internet. And we'll tell you, Ryan, good to see you. We can't see you, Ryan. That's the feds looking through your webcam, not us. Good to see you're here. They hear you too. Don't worry about it. They check out everyone who comes to this stream. Too late now. Don't worry about it, Ryan. You better delete your cache permanently, maybe move. But, you know, to each his own. Depends on how, you know, you want to cover your tracks. Because, believe you me, your algorithm is in it to win it now. And by in it to win it me, we mean it's not going to look so good in a court case, Ryan, because we're dropping your name if anything goes south in this, right? If Josh keeps us talking about not Magic the Gathering, people get irate, pissed off, stuff like that, it's going to kind of be your fault, Ryan, for being honest. You know, we weren't going to blame Josh, but Josh plays Yu-Gi-Oh! He can't read the little words on it. No, that's us. We can't read the little words on it, so we can't play that game. But Pokemon, you had a question on it. We feel we answered it adequately. You know, it's a big entity worldwide. If you type Pokemon into Google, You'll probably get a couple hits, you know. Yeah, excellent. We hope we answered your question about Pokemon. Anyhow, I'll have to move. Excellent. That's what we said. We already said you'd have to move, Ryan. Now, you might have very well typed you'll have to move before we said it. But because we said it first before we read that you said it, looks bad for you there, Ryan. And yeah, that's technically our fault. But because we said it first before we said that you said it in the chat, it just paints you in a bad light. So let's do everything we can to turn that around for all ones of our viewers, Ryan. Our mom watches this when she gets off her second job. She works night shift, stocking shelves. But someone's got to pay the bills around here, Ryan, because believe you me, YouTube isn't doing it yet. But what they need to be doing is paying the bills around here. Because our mom says she wants to quit her second job, and she can't. Because how else would we be able to bring you all of this not good content, Ryan? You know? Anyhow, the point was, yes, we stated that you'd have to move, and you knew that was going to be the case as well. You definitely have to move after, the feds tap into the history of your computer or cell phone, otherwise known as an Xbox, and start checking it out and being like, oh, yep, he sure was at that stream. Better go interrogate him. And by interrogate him, we mean Shyzabox said that it was all Ryan, so he's taking the fall. Just kidding, Ryan. We'll blame someone else, too. Hey, Josh, what are you doing in the next 10 to 15 years? Not minutes. I don't know how long this stream's going to go. Maybe 10, 15 minutes. Definitely not 10 to 15 years in one stream. That'd be a hell of a stream, dudes. We can't leave it playing that long. We'd have to, eventually, charge stuff with, electricity. Stuff like that. You ever hear about electricity and Pokemon there, Ryan? We know that you had a question about Pokemon, and believe you me, we're going to elaborate a little more on it for you. It's not something we usually do here, but we're willing to do it for you. Because you're important to us, Ryan. There's one thing we got to do. It's, change this image of people have of you. Of, kind of just being willy-nilly and going about your business. Talking about stuff that isn't Magic the Gathering. Throwing off the whole show. But we're going to be honest with you, Ryan. That's not your fault. That's our fault. Because we let Josh do that earlier. Talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! So it's only fair for us to now revisit your Pokemon topic and elaborate a little more on it. Like electricity has struck, there's a character called Pikachu. It's a Pokemon, Ryan. Little yellow bastard with some electric-like stripes on him. Pika, Pika! Talks like that. He only knows one word, Ryan, and he says it in all sorts of iterations and varieties of ways. You'd almost think that it's a form of Groot, only instead of being a giant tree that does stuff, it's a little yellow bastard that has electric-like stripes painted on him that only goes, Pika, Pika, Pikachu! Stuff like that, Ryan. Now, we're not saying we're a perfect Pikachu impersonator, but that was pretty damn good and definitely worth it knowing that you were the one requesting the content when the feds inquire and investigate and, kind of question us. And we're going to have to say, well, officers of the law, Ryan wanted us to do it. Obviously, and now there's video proof of that, Ryan. Thanks for hiring us to be your patsy. I mean, whatever a patsy is, one of us can be it. Doesn't matter. Point is that we got to circle back around. Hold on, some comment came in. Oh, I know him. Excellent, Pikachu. Yes, it's a Pokemon. Thanks for interrupting again. Let's get back to where we were going. Okay? Where the hell were we going, Ryan? Oh, jeez. Sip your coffee. Ours better not be cold, Josh. If it is, it's your fault again. Josh left. Don't blame him. Coffee's still lukewarm. Ryan, Josh passed coffee responsibility on to you. If this gets cold, it's now your fault. So, you commented in the chat box last. That's on you. He made me do it. Isn't really a defense, Ryan. Same way it technically wouldn't be a defense for you being the reason our coffee gets cold if we don't sip it fast enough. But, believe you me, any space that we're not filling with our greatness is space that could be filled with our greatness. You might be saying, when does that start? Well, no one knows. Point is that let's go ahead, hone it back in, and bring it back full circle. Let's go back to Magic the Gathering. We were telling you about the colors that existed before, Josh. There's 5 of them. They wanted 6, there's 5, okay? You might be saying, wow, over 30 minutes of talking to finally say there's 5 colors available in Magic the Gathering? Yeah, but we covered a lot of content we didn't need to, and believe you me, that's mostly not even our fault. If the people want Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, that's the card games they'll invest in and play. And inevitably, that's the content we should have made, because apparently that's what people want us to talk about. Only problem is that our knowledge base is a little better with Magic the Gathering. Now, we're not saying we're professionals, but we can reach the mythic level tier in Magic the Gathering Arena pretty much whenever we want to. Though, we have stated and continually state, it's a grind to get there, and you have to want to invest the time to do it. Okay? Very doable. We do it whenever we want to. We recently redid it when they brought out those updates to Arena, which were awesome, with the new little accolades you can get, and the new little, tasks you can complete, and the rewards that you get. Not really great rewards, but whatever. You know what? A new catchphrase that you can say during games, because you can't talk during games. Or a new emoji, or a new sleeve for your cards that you'll never use because it sucks. Whatever. It's nice of them. And the little, we haven't put one under our name. We don't even know which ones we have, but we see people with them all the time and we don't like them. That's why we haven't found one that we've really added, or we haven't really come across anything that we've unlocked that's like, oh, the ambitious. We don't want the ambitious under our Magic of the Gathering Arena player icon. Mainly because what if we're like, well, we're going to rock a Johnny. Now, Josh, Johnny's a character in Magic the Gathering. This is where you're going to be a little behind the learning curve, and that's why you should have changed the subject to something you knew better, like Yu-Gi-Oh! But, unfortunately for you, Josh, we don't know shit about Yu-Gi-Oh! Except for the words on the card are very small, and a lot of those players would be in the way during F&M. We'd be like, hey, F&M's starting. You guys got to go Yu-Gi-Oh! Somewhere else. The only reason this shop's here is because of MTG. So, go take your back seat. And he'd be like, no, we have every right to be here, too. The shop owner would be like, no, I only carry that shit because you come in here and buy it. This is an MTG store, really. And believe you me, that's how some of them feel. They won't tell you to your face because you're sitting there buying all their Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards there, Josh. And believe you me, they're making money off you. But that's okay. That's how the economy works. Don't worry about it. We plan on making money off YouTube. And the only way to do that is to trick people into watching this. And so that's why we request that they click on the stream, mute it, and go to work. We get the view. They don't get burdened by anything we do here, and it's a win-win. But Josh, that's beside the point. We're done buying Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff, and we're reverting back to the Magic the Gathering talk because that's what we know more about. And because we already segued and we're talking about it, we're going to continue. So, the point is there's 5 colors in Magic of the Gathering, okay? Green, white, red, black, and the other one. It's blue, okay? They all used to have their things they excelled in and did extremely well. Red was very fast and aggressive and would put direct damage directly to the opponent. Black would usually be targeting things directly to destroy them, okay, or making one sacrifice something and or sacrificing something of your own to get a bigger payoff. Up to and including your life, okay, using it as a resource, all right, and black did it extremely well. White used to be all about justice, okay? It used to be all about fairness, okay? It would take things off the field. It would make things start over by destroying everything and wiping it out of existence. Let's completely start this game over. Day of Judgment. That's a card as well, Josh. It destroys all the creatures on the board that can be destroyed. Some of them can't because they're indestructible. Because Magic the Gathering developers recently were like, nah, everything has to live. Right? It's because people were getting their fifis hurt because their creatures were getting destroyed by Day of Judgment. Believe you me, it's ridiculous that they don't let that card go through anymore because they jacked it up with all of this hexproof and indestructible crap, right? which has a place in the game, Josh. We're not saying it doesn't, but they've kind of jacked up some mechanics and the way that it plays. But we digress. Let's get back to what the colors used to do well, as far as we understood it. Okay? Green was all about, we'll use a card that exists called Rampant Growth. Okay? It's a 2-drop. All right? You're going to hear these terms, Josh, at least if that's what the Rampant Growth is. We think so. We haven't run in a while. But you'll hear terms like 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop, 5-drop, CMC. That's converted mana cost. Okay? It's what it costs to get the card out. Surely in Pokemon, you need the electrons, okay, to put out your card. You need the leaf energons to put out a leaf Pokemon. Or to use his ability. Sorry, you shit them out on the field, I guess, in that game. You don't need the energons. You just need the energons for them to do shit. Works a little different from mana or the lands in Magic the Gathering. Okay? Green is all about getting as much mana and lands as possible really fast, and even having creatures make it, okay, to where the creatures are making the ability to make bigger things happen, okay? Green was all about that, and then just giant creatures. And here's a giant monster. You better kill it, or it's killing you in the game, right? That's what green was good for. So, you know, we've talked about red, we've talked about black, we've talked about white, we've talked about green. We haven't talked about blue yet. Might as well now. There's 5 colors, Josh. Did we ever tell you that? People used to want 6. A lot of people were pulling for the color purple to be one. There's even a YouTube channel that was called The Color Purple or something like that. Or Purple Magic. Or I don't know. It doesn't matter. He's a magic historian now. He changed. But he makes good content. You want to learn about magic, he knows more than we do. But what he doesn't know is that we're probably as, you know, upset with the state of Magic that we have been at any point in time that we've been upset with it. He doesn't care either, but that's fine. The point is that blue, the last color, used to excel in controlling the game. If you want to put one of those giant green creatures out, you have to cast it. Blue is about saying, you're not allowed to cast it. It doesn't even get to become a creature on the board that you could targetedly remove with black, or make someone sacrifice it with black, or targetedly remove with a red fireball spell that does certain amount of damage to it, get it off the board, okay? Or you don't remove it with destroying all creatures with your white spells, or exiling it, getting it out of there, okay? Blue was about not even letting it come into existence, saying when you pay your mana or your lands, okay, say something CMC, converted mana costs 4 manas to get out. A green one, and a gray one. Gray is any color. You can use any color, okay, but say you need 2 of them. So you need 2 greens and 2 any colors. CMC 4. It's a 4-drop, okay? A terminology. You'll hear these terms, and believe you me, it's better you learn them here, Josh, because we can only teach you the basics. So it kind of sounds impressive when we say it, but you go somewhere else where people know more than us, and our content gets exponentially worse. So you have these cards that, you know, you crank out, and blue's all about saying, no, you can't do it, okay? Well, the problem is that over the course of the last 15 years, Josh, these things that colors did well at, they've now opened up the floodgates to allow pretty much every color to do a little of everything, okay? You have decks that are, you know, that run white cards, okay, that'll peek at your hand, that will effectively, and there have been minor breaches of the color pie over time, okay? White had a card called Mana Tithe, which is actually a counter spell that would fall into the format of breaking the color pie because it should be a blue spell, okay? So there's always been a little overlap, but what has happened is now they've gone from like overlap to overreach. Now you have red cards that are tapping for mana like green creatures and stuff too, and if you open and change the mechanics to the game like that, then inherently you change the entire game, how it's functioned and performed for years. There's another form of Magic the Gathering, Josh, that we're going to have to allude to and talk about to kind of explain this even a little more. So there's things called guilds that consists of pairings of two of these colors, all right? They all have names. This is the learning curve part, okay? It sounds super complex and overwhelming as all get up. But consistent seeing and consistent interaction will help bridge that gap, okay? But there's color combinations of cards that form different entities, all right, that take the game in an entirely even new format, okay? You got pairings of red and green. It's called Gruul. Black and blue. It's called Dimir, okay? There's even bigger pairings that are 3 color combinations.
You've got mail.
You're like, there's too many of these. And it's like, no. There's not too many. There's not enough. We got to make more, right? There's Eldrazi and shit like that, Josh, but believe you me, you don't want to learn about affinity, which is separate, until you encounter those. And Tron is something entirely different. So what you're going to do is you're going to download Magic the Gathering Arena, Josh, and you're going to play what's called those challenges to learn the game, okay? And then go find those better content creators out there that will help guide you through the process of learning the game. Now, our Yoda took us under his wing. Much love to the Big Mike. Taught us how to play, learned us how to play, and believe you me, because of his making us his Padawan, and granted we had to rub his feet on occasion and make him sandwiches at his will and beck and call, we learned a lot. We took first place in some pretty good little tournaments. Not great ones, not national ones, never won any regional events or anything like that, or massive, things, but we took down quite a few over our latter years of in-person playing. We haven't played in person in a minute. It's because our celebrity status has grown to such a renown that it'd be embarrassing if no one recognized us when we're out and about. That's why we got to bring our mom everywhere with us, and she's usually at one of her jobs, either the first one or the second one. But someone's got to pay the bills around here, because you're not doing it for us. So, point is that there's even bigger combinations of these color pairings and stuff like that consists of like 3 iterations of them. And you can have multicolored jank. That's all 5 of them. But you have pairings, black, white, green. It's called Abzan, okay? Blue, red, black. It's called Grixis, okay? It's the things that sound super overwhelming, and you hear the terms. It's a 4-drop Grixis colors. I think it's red, black, and 2, okay? Well, with all that great training we've done, you should be able to decipher that code that we just said. Grixis colors, okay, all right. Now, we get it. You don't remember that one. That was the blue, red, black, okay? So if something costs black, red, and 2, and we say it's a 4-drop, it needs 1 black of the mana, 1 red of the mana, and 2, whatever the fuck color mana it can be. It can be red, black, or blue in this case, usually, or a colorless one, but that's a whole other thing, Josh. We can say that there's technically 5 colors of Magic and then 3 or 4 or 5.
You've got mail.
Play it, but, that's a whole other thing. So, the point is that these other iterations of these cards and combinations exist and are there and, come forth as far as maybe turning off new players, but you don't need to know what the color combination is called to be able to read a card. And the great thing that has always existed about Magic is rule number 1, and this is the only rule you really need to remember, aside from don't be a net decking bitch, is rule number 1, whatever the card says goes, okay? That's rule 1. So when Magic prints crap, it ruins the game because the rule says that crap is now whatever the hell it says. So when they print broken cards and they have to go back and ban 5 or 6 cards in one standard set in one fell swoop because they've broken the game so much, shows you that the state of Magic was a little lacking, okay? There's cards that definitely should have been banned before they were even made. And if they were going to be made, holy cow, they should have put them in the right color pie as aspect to begin with. But they're like, oh, let's shake the game up. What, upside down into a trash can? The hell are they thinking? You know, it's why they really should have hired people like us to come on and tell them how it is. And while it would be a mistake on their end and their part, we'd get their money so they could screw that game up as much as they wanted at that point. We're already on the payroll. The company can crash. We already milked it for what we can get from it. Granted, you know, sure, we would want it to be successful, maintain that payment from them, but we'll get what we can from them, right? Anyhow, they started breaking the color pie, Josh. They started putting cards in places that they shouldn't have been, don't need to be, okay? You have elements of things that the mechanics that were inherently a part of green now being done by red. And while team-ups exist between red and green, and whilst you might occasionally have an overlap of something that might dangle its foot over the color pie, like your Mana Tithe, your white counter spell that should be a blue card. Okay, and there's other elements and aspects, mainly in team-up card colors, where this will happen or that will happen, and it's at least in most of the realm of what that color pie originally was designed.
You've got mail.
Or have. Okay? The point is that all of the aspects of the game that they have broken the color pie with, the things that they're getting cards to do that shouldn't be in the color they are doing them with, are the reason why they have these things occurring to where they encounter bannings of 5 or 6 cards at once in a standard cycle. And Josh, you're going to have to learn about standard and modern and legacy and pauper and two-headed giant and all that. That's why we say download Arena. It's free. You don't know about Magic. It'll teach you the basics, stuff like that. The rest will come. Don't plan on being a professional right out of the gate. It's a very competitive game, and it's very hard to be a professional right out of the gate. But it does happen. Maybe you'll be natural and be a professional right out of the gate. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But what does matter is that Magic the Gathering needs to get it together. And by together, we mean they need to stop messing up. When they present cards that destroy the game, when they make the game unfun to play against people who are playing these monstrosities of creations that should have never been greenlit or printed to begin with, you're driving away your player base that loves the game, and for some narcissistic reason, we keep coming back to it and flailing ourselves across the back with whips and chains because we love the game so much. And we suffer through the perceived, surely, potentially non-existent algorithms that for some reason seem to be in existence that we don't know if they are and can verify. Okay? We love the game. That's why we come back to it. That's why we play it. That's why we put up with
You've got mail.
They have these cards and things like that. The point is that there's elements of the game that have withstood the test of time and kept it in people's hearts as long as it has been. We've remained playing the game on some iteration, form, or semi-consistent basis ever since we were introduced to it on the original things that they had you to learn Magic on, the duels of the Planeswalkers on Xbox 360 and PS3 and stuff like that. That stuff was fantastic. We even ended up buying iterations of those as they were rolling them out. Duels of the Planeswalkers. But you know what they did? They pulled all of those from being able to re-download them and whatnot on your Xbox, as this is. Everything's an Xbox. You have a cell phone, right? Well, Wizards of the Coast pulled all those games for whatever reason, right? So some of these excellent teaching tools that were in existence are now not available. And that's unfortunate, Josh, because we would have sent you there to start learning. But instead, you're going to have to put up with Magic the Gathering Arena. And that's probably by design. They probably want you there to get involved in that ecosystem and fall in love with the game the same way that a lot of people do. And even with a giant learning curve, they'll throw you those freebies on a daily basis to keep you coming back. And believe you me, If you enjoy any iota of card game or free thinking strategy game along the lines of chess-like levels of things that can possibly happen or move or be interacted with or changed with just by the mere changing of one card in a deck, look no further. There's a lot of fun to be had there. The state of Magic, if we were to summarize it, would be we still love the game, for better or not. All aspects of it we fell in love with when we first started playing. We wish we had the foresight to know how great the game was when people were whipping pudding cups at the nerd herd walking around the school. Okay? It doesn't matter if they bought them from someone else that was selling them to make a buck. What they did with them after that point, no longer obligated or liable for. Okay? We were just picking up our coffee and fixing our tie. Okay? No admission to anything. The point is that we wish we had the foresight to know how awesome the game was back then, so that our collection would be even greater than it is now. It's not that great, but we got some okay cards. We love Magic. We love Magic the Gathering. They've jacked it up with a lot of the stuff they've printed. They seem to have gone on a downward spiral and trajectory with a variety and a lot of iterations of their sets that they've released, mechanics they've introduced, and things of that nature. But, just as you said earlier, the Final Fantasy tie-in, we've enjoyed that one more so than virtually any other tie-in that we've been privy or a part of being around for it to be tied into and released as a part or aspect of the game. And believe you me, that's a very long time. We like Transformers fine, but we didn't give a shit about the Transformers tie-in. Ironically, we're not huge Final Fantasy fans, but the Final Fantasy tie-in is done so well that it drives us to enjoy it even when we're not enjoying it, right? And let's be honest, we're always enjoying it in one way, shape, or form, even when we're pissed off at the perceived algorithm that surely doesn't exist, manipulating our pairings, matchups, card draws, card pools, things of that nature. You know, we overthink things sometimes. You need to overthink the show. What, make it good? No. Bottom ground floor level. Best, worst internet celebrity there is. You forget what we call dibs on, Josh. But let's check the ones of chat. We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. Definitely want to learn the game. Excellent. Magic the Gathering of Arena is the way to go to do it. Go through the challenges they're associated with, the colors that they line up on. It's free to download, free to play. You don't gotta spend no money on it. Don't feel like you have to spend money on it. You'll get rares. You'll get free packs. Look up the free codes in existence. There are a bunch out there, or there were. Sorry if they're not still working. But there's a bunch of free codes. You go to the redeem portion, put in, and they'll give you 3 free packs. 3 free packs. Well, not only are wild cards and packs, but say you open 6 packs, you get 1 rare wild card redemption ticket that you can pick whichever rare wild card you want to unlock or gain access to or purchase digitally, right? You can spend money, you don't have to. Magic is designed to where you can win games playing crappy cards. That's what they're going to give you right off the bat. They're going to have some pre-made decks. You're probably going to want to do the challenges, find what you find the most fun out of those, and then run a colored deck that's just that they've made for you. Learn the game, learn the mechanics, because the learning curve is massive. One play mistake will cost you a win, okay? Not putting a card out at the appropriate time or at an appropriate step will cost you the game. Let me make a little example for you. If you have a creature, and he's a small little bastard, okay? Say he's a 1/1, okay? He has 1 power and 1 shield. 1 toughness is what they call it. 1 defense, okay? have a little character and he's a 1/1, and you're running a green deck, and someone's running a red deck, and they have a lightning bolt, that does 3 damage to your 1/1 creature. Now, if you have a card that says target creature gets +4/+4, your 1/1 will survive that lightning bolt that does 3 damage on his 1 shield or toughness, okay? But in order for it to protect him, you gotta play it at the right time. Otherwise, if you go to make your guy bigger, and then they kill him in response to you going to do that, your guy dies and he doesn't end up being the 5/5 that you desire him to be. It's all about timing, strategy, and believe it or not, inherently, that is what makes the game and how many mechanics they have so massive. You are playing a mental game with physical pieces that can be in an array and assortment in existence that you couldn't even fathom. There's cards out there, we don't even know what they do, okay? There's cards we refuse to learn and play because we don't like them. Now, you lose to something enough, and believe you me, you're going to learn that card, and then you're going to make an entire deck to fuck that shit up. And believe you me, that's our favorite thing to do. Can't say that we haven't enjoyed climbing to Mythic on a couple of those occasions where we're like, all right, bitches, we're grinding this out. We want to get that new little placard, the ambitious, that we're not going to put on our character. We don't know when you get that or at what accolade you get it from, but whatever. Point is that, yeah, we'll throw together some crap to completely shut down a certain card of that nature. So, with that being the case, it's just one of those things that inherently is part of the game, okay? It's what makes the game what it is. It's the fun that is there that you create out of all of the pieces in existence. And while, Josh, your collection might be crappy at first, they've made a crappy deck for you too, but it's going to be playable, and it's probably mechanically more sound and better than anything we play, and we've played for years. Not well, but we played for years. What's all that you took down tournaments talk? Well, anyone can get lucky, Josh, that's the thing. That's why we're hoping to get lucky with this being the best of the worst celebrity thing, right? Anyone can make content. Anyone can make good content. Sounds like work. So we just call dibs on the ground floor level and expect everyone else to do more work than us. That's the thing, Josh. We call dibs. We get to be it. You ever see Walking Dead? Daryl taught us what dibs was, okay? And if there's one thing Daryl Dixon is, it's the boss. So, yes, not who's the boss with, the characters and actors in that, okay? No Scott Baio here. Is that the character in that? No, doesn't matter. Point is that when Daryl Dixon says you can call dibs, we call dibs. And we call dibs on the ground floor level of being the best, worst celebrity there is. So our effort has to be minimal in exertion and everything like that. That's where we thrive, Josh. Doing the minimum. Getting the maximum payoff and benefit. Which we haven't got yet, but we should. Anyhow, let's see this other ones of comment that we've missed. Final Fantasy going to bring a lot of new players to the game. Hey, if that brings you to the game, then you're entirely right. And if there's one thing that we like seeing, it's, people be right. Because when people are wrong, it usually leads to chaos and confusion. And that's why we take it, very much so to be important for us to be sure we're bringing all of these right, hard-hitting facts and opinions of ours, which are usually true and right. And because we think they are, inherently they are. Now, they might not be in terms of on paper or if they're fact-checked against or anything like that, but that's beside the point. If you're going to take the time to look up everything we say, we'd have nothing to apologize for in the next stream. Speaking of which, hold on, we got to call management real quick. We don't like to, but we got to. Hey, put management on. I don't care. You tell them to get back in here, they should be watching the stream anyway. Hey, has it been long enough? Can we go home yet? No, alright. Anyhow, don't worry about it. We're so glad that you're still here and that we get to still be here long because management wants us to. But we're going to drink our coffee now and try to remember what we were talking about. Daryl's your favorite from The Walking Dead. Well, excellent. That's because Daryl's awesome, and he's everyone's favorite. Good choice, Josh. Everyone loves Daryl. If they killed him off in the season, no one would watch it anymore. Maybe Rick, too, at one point in time or another, but, you know, Rick was kind of whiny at some points, and Daryl wasn't. Even when Daryl was whiny, he wasn't. It was a Daryl whine, which is fine. Daryl's allowed to do whatever he wants, because he's awesome. He's the boss. But you know that, Josh, and that's why you reiterated that he's awesome. He's also your favorite, which is actually what you reiterated, but we're going to change that into he's awesome, because we like it better the way we say it. If we're being honest, Josh, it's our show, so that's how we're going to do it. But if we're being honest as well, boy, did you say it better than us, so we're going to now take your words and pretend they were ours. Daryl's my favorite as well. You know, if there's one thing, Josh, that we've come to realize, it's that apparently you're copying us a lot. And that's okay. You also want to copy us as far as knowing what deck to run in Magic the Gathering. And like we said, Josh, it's a little hard for us to point you in that direction. We run crap. We make decks that shouldn't exist. We play cards that aren't considered good. But if there's one thing that we would tell you, Josh, it's that you need to, for real, download Arena, go through the color challenges, because every color plays differently. It's the fun of the game. We started on green. Green is very easy to learn. Blue is probably the hardest to learn. If you're coming in as a new player, green might be the way to go. It's very straightforward, very direct. Get land, put creature.
You've got mail.
Put creature. Things of that nature, okay? There's all sorts of aspects of stuff that will inherently tie in and just be components that are very, very easy to learn and do and go with, okay? The color blue, on the other hand, is very complicated. You can play a blue deck right out of the gate and right when you start learning to play the game, but I guarantee you, Josh, blue works a lot differently. You have one chance to keep something off of the battlefield or the board, and if you misplay or put something at the wrong time or counter the wrong spell, then you'll be hurting and you will lose the game inherently off of one decision that you make early on. That's how the game's designed. That's how the game works. That's what adds those elements of craziness to it that give it all of the plethora of indeterminate outcomes that could be in existence depending on what format you're playing, what cards are available, and what the opponent put together in their deck. So as far as learning goes, Josh, get Arena. It's free. Don't spend no money on it until you find your love or hatred of the game. You might not like it. You might want to kick back and go with Pokemon or go back to Yu-Gi-Oh! But believe you me, those words are real small and kind of a pain to read. So do whatever you want, but we loves our Magic the Gathering, okay? We gripe about it. We bitch about it. We say the state of Magic isn't fantastic or phenomenal, but we love the game, and it's our ability to endure all of the horribleness that we feel can be affiliated or associated with it at one time, okay, that really drives us to inevitably sticking with it and loving the game. But unfortunately, that's about all the time we got today. I guess we got to go do other stuff that management wants us to. So now's your chance to get out of here before us. Hurry up. We'll swig this down. It's probably all cold now. Thanks to you, Ryan. You know, Ryan probably left, Josh, if we're being honest, so it's still your fault. But we'll choke this down. Ask all ones of your last questions otherwise. If you want to leave before us, believe you me, we prefer it that way. That's way. We know you're not stealing all this shit that we leave out, you know, when we depart. But if we're being honest, we know there's no value to it, so we're not going to miss any of it. So think about this channel, you know, kind of just is what it is. So we'll check, make sure we're not missing ones of last questions. Your tattoos are cool. What are they? Oh, holy shit, Josh, that's going to take forever now. All right, Josh, you want more, we'll give you more, but we're going to keep it very minimal because we haven't sweetened our coffee yet. We're going to do that now. Here, gander. So it's an amalgamation and an array that we really wish we had, you know, gotten done maybe in a different... Don't get us wrong. We don't regret any of them. We wish that we got them maybe in different locations or maybe thematically a little more coherent. But it fits us because it's just a random amount of stuff. Like, everyone needs a dagger with a skull going through it with flames coming out of the eyes. Obviously. Everyone needs their Eagle Scout tattoo. That's an Eagle Scout. You might not know this, Josh, but we're an Eagle Scout. And believe you me, you might be saying, what the fuck, how? But, I don't know, you can pass a border review, you just gotta put your best foot forward. And if there's one thing we like to do, it's exert our best foot forward. And while we don't do it all the time, obviously, yeah, well, fair enough. It's easy enough to do it on occasion, and then you can get a tattoo of it, if you feel like it. So we did. This is the Eagle Scout tattoo. We also have brass knuckles, because you never know when you're going to need those hands. So, we feel that we've answered your question with one or two answers to, we don't even know how many tattoos we got, Josh, if we're being honest. Probably like at least 10 or something, which is probably more than we could count. And it's more than 10, so we'll just call it an even 10, even though it's more. We'll just say the arm counts as 1, this arm counts as 1, the leg, the foot, the hiney. We're not showing you our hiney. You gotta join our OnlyFans for that, Josh, and believe you me, you will regret joining any aspect of this one, but you'll really regret joining that one. So, that's why we try and keep it to a minimum. Don't advertise it too much, because if there's one thing that channel doesn't need over there in our OnlyFans account, it's traffic. Because it's embarrassing for us, but gotta make a living somehow. YouTube's not giving us their money yet. And believe you me, we want their money, Josh, and the only way to get it is to get people to watch this. So, hopefully everyone's had a great time, but that's going to do it for us today. So, have yourself a great rest of the day, evening, night. Maybe we'll kick it tonight. Maybe we won't. That's the thing about this. The studio's under construction and not done. So, whilst there's no consistency or anything to it, maybe there will be one day. So, you might be saying, oh God, I hope not. And we hear you. But then you'll know when to avoid the internet at all costs. And let's be honest, that does everyone a favor. Or you'll know when to click watch and mute, do us a solid, and dip set and go to work. Or go to bed, take a nap. Don't listen to us. We just need the view time. That's it. Shh, just kidding, YouTube. This is great content we're presenting. We're not trying to milk the system by soliciting views, right? Yeah, obviously not. Anyhow, yes, excellent. We will have a great day as well. You do the same. Everyone else that's still here, unfortunately, your feet are starting to compress our grass and mush down our, kind of aesthetics there on the, greenness of it. So we don't need your subscription. We want your money. Downvote the shit out of this and give us a buck. Get off our lawn.